It's a new day, we're in a new country, and this country is by far the most unique country that we have ever visited.
Welcome to Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Just to be here, in this moment.
It is delicious. Oh my goodness, that is amazing.
We are Sarah and Marek. In October 2020, we left our home country of South Africa and set out to see the world using budget travel strategies to make our travels last as long as possible. From working on a traditional winery in Georgia, to a sailboat in Turkey, to attempting to hitchhike over 1,800 kilometers in 4 days, our budget travels have by no means been boring or uneventful. We can't wait to see what's next.
Between the rain and the fact that we haven't quite figured out how to use the public transport here yet, we are going to do our very best to do the city justice, show you around and give you our first impressions of Sarajevo.
Some pretty historical places during our travels, but this has to be the most significant, not only in terms of how it shaped Bosnia and Herzegovina's history, but the world's history forever. We are currently standing on the Latin Bridge, and this is the site where the Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife were assassinated in 1914. Now, in case you don't know who that is, he was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his assassination was a direct cause for the start of World War I. I just let that sink in. This spot that we're standing in right now was the start of World War I. Although it was quite a long time ago and way before our time, just being here is bringing up emotions that I honestly never thought that I had. Like, you can feel it, it's here sitting, it's a heavy feeling in our chest. But just being here and seeing it and experiencing it, it honestly feels like quite a privilege. Just to be here, in this moment, to have been in a place that has shaped the world's history forever.
Just across the street from the bridge, you find this museum with these photos up, which makes it even more real. These 3 photos show the arrest, the bringing to court, and the trial of the assassins involved in this horrible event. There are sections that feel really European, and then there are other places where we feel like we've walked straight back into Turkey.
Now, an interesting fact, during a period of time, Bosnia and Herzegovina were actually under Ottoman rule. Now, a knock-on effect of that is that 51% of the population actually follows Islam. So you have this mixture of having churches right next to mosques, kind of just all coexisting with each other. And this just really adds to Bosnia and Herzegovina being such a unique country.
Okay, if this video feels like information overload and just a lot of talking, we do apologize. We're just so excited about all this interesting information we're learning about this really unique and quirky country.
Okay, but let's give you some more. So let's start.
I got a bunch of pigeons! Oh my gosh.
Now, where were we? Let's start with the flag. Now, the flag has got the colors of yellow, white, and blue. And this is basically the international colors for peace. That triangle that you can see on the flag not only represents the shape of the country of Bosnia and Herzegovina, but the 3 corners also represent the 3 different groups that are in the country, namely the Bosnians, the Croats, and the Serbs. Now, something that I found incredibly interesting is that the country has actually got 3 presidents, 1 for each group. So you have a president for Bosnians, you have a president for the Croats, and you have a president for the Serbs. Now, we could go on talking about the interesting facts about this country forever, but if you want to watch a video that summarizes it all really well, we'll link it in the description below.
Okay, after all that talking, I think it's about time we find some nice Bosnian food to try. Let's go. found the closest budget-friendly restaurant and ordered their signature Bosnian dish, which is something called cevapci. It's basically minced meat sausages in this very traditional bread with a side of chopped onions. You can tell that this is their signature dish because this is their small little menu, and most of the items on here are this dish, just in different variations.
Together with the food, we got something called yogurt. It's literally just called yogurt on the menu, and you're supposed to drink this together with any like meat dishes that you have. And you can see where they draw like inspirations from Turkish dishes, because this is almost like the Iran that we drank so much of during our time in Turkey. Okay, but enough talking, it's time to taste it. I don't really know how to eat it. Wait, how do you eat it? Onion? Chuck it. A little bit of bread. That is simple ingredients that's been cooked incredibly well. Perfectly seasoned meat, very tasty bread, like a little bit stretchy and spongy, but also nice and moist at the same time. And together with the onions, it all works together so well. And I mean, it's meat and bread. What more can you really ask for?
This is literally a glass of yogurt. It's really thick, but the flavor actually complements the whole meal really nicely and it ties it together well. I think it's quite nice together.
Right, we are feeling full and happy, but now we actually have to get to the bus stop because we're actually leaving Sarajevo tomorrow and we're going to our next Workaway in a place called Banja Luka. But first, we need to try to figure out how to use the trams to get there.
Down now, and as you can see, we are both drenched. Is this our one?
Right, so we just found the information that we needed, except the tickets are pretty expensive. To travel about 130 kilometers, it's going to cost us about 70 Bosnian marks, which is pretty steep. So we're quickly going to take a walk to the railway station and find out if we can find tickets for a little bit cheaper.
I think it's closed.
Right, so we actually managed to get inside. It just looked closed from the outside, but we just pushed on the door and we managed to get in. There's something strange though. So where we're trying to get to is called Banja Luka, and is actually the second biggest city in the whole of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Now, what's pretty strange about that is that there's actually no train going there. There's trains connecting to all the different cities, all the different towns, but there's no train going to the second biggest city in the country. Strange. Anyway, looks like we're gonna have to catch the bus tomorrow morning.
So unfortunately, the rain is not going anywhere and we really don't want to film with our camera in the rain. So unfortunately, that brings our sightseeing for the day to an end. But we do want to try one last Bosnian dish, and it's actually the national dessert of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
So we're gonna put you into our pocket and we'll see you in a few minutes. Or in a few seconds.
That was scary.
Go once more.
So we've got our desserts, but before we even start with that, we've got Bosnian coffee. Now, I was expecting something similar to Turkish coffee. It looks very similar, but the cups that they've brought us, there's a little sugar cube in there, and it looks like some Turkish delight. Now it's inside the cup, so I can only assume that you would take your coffee and pour it into the cup over the sugar and the Turkish delight. Wow! That rich coffee flavor of the Turkish coffee, but it's lovely, got a lovely lift in there from the sugar and from the Turkish delight. Wow, that is so nice.
Oh, it's even melting everything at the same time.
How's that?
They're all staring at us. all the people inside. So we're busy sitting outside a restaurant here. We've come outside so we can like talk all freely and stuff. But now it's kind of like everybody on the inside is busy looking out to the outside and they're just kind of staring at us while we're recording. I feel so absurd.
Please turn the camera around and show.
So like, imagine me, I'm busy sitting here, Sarah's busy holding the camera, and then this guy over there is busy staring at me. There's a whole bunch of people standing through the window over there. Felt like a little animal in the zoo.
Marek's worst nightmare.
The coffee's really good though.
Alright, so the star of the show is this dish right here. This is the national dessert. It's called chia. Apple, you've got some egg whites in there, powdered sugar, walnuts, and then they top it off with whipped cream and I think some crushed walnuts on the top. Very thick. Wow, that has got a very distinct texture. It's lovely and sweet, but it's not like that sharp sweet. It's like a nice, gentle, sweet flavor. It's almost like jelly-ish. You can tell that it's a boiled apple. It's got that texture. When you have it with the syrup, there's also syrup in here, then it's really sweet. But on its own, it's really nice and gently sweet.
So we didn't just get one dessert, we got two.
Ooh.
This is something called furmashica. I'm pretty sure I said that incorrectly. But it is basically just a sweetened syrup biscuit. If you give it a light little tap here, it's pretty solid. Like a proper little biscuit, but you can see that there's syrup here on the sides of it. Let's give it a taste, shall we? Doesn't seem to be a filling of sorts. Oh my. Oh my.
Is it just falling apart?
It's falling apart. Gosh, you ready for this? You know what it tastes like?
What?
A cook sister.
No!
So a cook sister, here's a picture here. It's a very traditional South African dessert. Now that is more of like a dough consistency, whereas this is more of a biscuit consistency. But otherwise the syrup and the bit of crunchiness with it tastes exactly like a cook sister. It is very sweet, but it is quite good. I'm quite enjoying this one.
I think possibly the best part about this Bosnian coffee, there's still Turkish delight in there. Oh my goodness. It's gone all soft and mushy because of the hot coffee. It is delicious. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. 10 out of 10 for that Bosnian coffee.
Wow, those desserts were delicious, but
Super sweet. I honestly feel ready for a nap after all that sugar.
We are quite sad to say that we're ending the video now because we really just feel like we're only getting into the city now. You know, we're starting to feel the rhythm of it. We're starting to feel the vibe of the whole city. But the weather has dictated it. Well, unfortunately, we have to end it here.
So our thoughts on Sarajevo. This city is very rich historically, but what we will say is we can feel a definite heaviness in the air. Honestly, since we crossed the border the other day, we could feel it immediately, just a difference and a heavier atmosphere in the country overall.
So there are definitely constant reminders and memorials all throughout the city, and honestly, we haven't even scratched the surface of the history and everything that has happened to this great country.
An example of one of these reminders is something that we saw yesterday. It was like a red splattering on the ground, and it made us stop in our tracks, and we actually found out later that it's damage from a mortar blast that they have filled with this reddish pinkish cement. Instead of concealing it, they've kept it there as a reminder, and I'm sure it had the desired effect because it really made us stop in our tracks and look at it and actually think about what had happened right there where we were standing.
But thank you so much for joining us for this video. Tomorrow, as we mentioned, we're heading out to our Workaway, a little village just outside the city of Banja Luka. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
walking through the city, there are some sections where you feel like... There. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Just because of what we're talking about.
Oh.
You can tell that it's their signature gest. Come to me, little cook sister.